Good afternoon and welcome back to our Food for Thought segment. This is the college basketball edition for college basketball. We're going to be doing a Food for Thought analysis and leans for college basketball. Again, I'll have another video after this with my best bets and picks. I will give two best bets here because the best bets that I like are two games. They start, one's at 6 o'clock and one's at 6:30 in the evening. So I'll give my best bets for those because those are the early starts. Then I'll do another video for the rest of my college basketball picks for the later games from 7 p.m. onward. All right, so we're going to start off with Furman. Furman at VMI. This one here, Furman -7 opened up, total 142.5. Now, if you're wondering where we're getting our picks from, as I mentioned in previous videos, we're getting these, not picks, spreads, totals, over-unders, and injury reports. We're getting it from oddslogic.com. This is where we get all the information from for spreads, totals, over-unders, and injury report, just in case you're wondering. Okay, so we're going to get back to Furman -7 at VMI. The total of this game, 142.5. Right now we're seeing 9, and we're seeing a bit of 9.5s. Now I have a bet on this game as well. I've already played it, but we'll go through the whole breakdown of this game. We'll do the current meeting between these two, not the current meeting, but the just the last 10 games. Basically, both teams are going through with against other teams, against other opposition. So the last 10 games against other opposition for Furman. Furman 7-3 last 10, 3-6 against the spread, 6-3 to the over. So Furman, they have last 5 2-3, and then the last 5 here, the over/under, they are 4-1 to the over. VMI is 4-6 last 10, 5-2-1 against the spread, 5-3 to the over. 2-3 last 10. These two teams, 2-3 the last 10 against other opposition. The over/under here is 2-3 to the under. VMI. This is like the first meeting of the season between these two teams. Furman's on the road now. They played 3 straight overs, and now they're on the road. Let's see. My take for this game, I like Furman. Furman -9. I like him here. They have covered 2 games on the road at Harvard, at Western Carolina. So they have covered 2 as a favorite on the road. So they're pretty much familiar with playing on the road. They have done well here, so I like them at -9 at VMI. VMI as a home dog. They covered 2 straight as a home dog. Well, 1 on the road and 1 at home. And they lost as a dog in Chattanooga. So to me, I like Furman more to cover the points at -9. That's my play. I've already played it already. So I like the value there, -9 Furman. I love that play. Let's see if I see anything else on this game. Yeah, nothing else on this game. I like that play. That's my play. I like that one. Next game here, I'm going to look at Utah at Houston. And the Furman game is 6 p.m. this evening, just in case. So try and get the 9 if you can, before it gets to 9.5. Or if you can't get it, wait till it goes live and get it at 9 or 8.5 Furman. Next game, Utah at Houston. This game is, let's see here. I think this game's canceled. I believe the Houston game's canceled. Let me check, because I'm not seeing it on the board. No, it's there. It has not been canceled. Sorry. We thought it was canceled. It's not been canceled. Sorry about that. So Utah at Houston. Houston -17.5. Total 133.5. Right now we're looking at 18 on across the board. Mainly 18s across the board. 118.5, but it's mainly 18 across the board. Total 133.5. It's gone to 132.5. We've seen a 134, but it's mainly 133.5. Mainly across the board, and I saw 134. So it hasn't really moved much. My take on this game, I like the under 133.5. Even if it goes to 134, I like the under. Houston, in this particular spot, they have played their last 5 games. They are basically 2 and 3 to the under their last 5 games. At home, though, when they're at home, they are 1 and 3 to the under. So I like the under here. And they're 3 and 7 to the under last 10 Houston, 6 and 4 against the spread, 10 and 0. They've won 10 straight games. Utah won 3 straight games, but mainly the 2 of the 3 games were at home. Utah 5 and 5, 3 and 7 against the spread, 2 and 8 to the under. This is another reason why I like the under too. Utah has gone under in 4 straight games. 2 of those games were on the road, 2 at home. So that's another reason why I like the under. Both teams are playing to the under. Houston's at home; they play very well to the under. So I like the under here in this spot. I do like the under. Under 133.5. Even though that's at 134, I bet the under. Next, and I've already bet that. That one's at 6:30 tonight. Or sorry, it's at 6 p.m. tonight. It's another 6 p.m. start. So I like those 2 plays. So the rest of the games now we're gonna basically be leans, and I'll give you my take on those after. There's a lot of games here. A lot of games here. Let's see. TCU, Kansas. Kansas minus 6.5. Total 136.5. Right now we're looking at 7.5 across the board. We're seeing some 7s, but mainly 7.5. And the total is at 130. They're 135. Mainly a lot of 135s. This game here. Let's see. This is Kansas TCU. Yes, so this game here, let's look here. So Kansas here, 8 and 2 last 10. Sorry, Kansas last 10, 6 and 4 last 10, 5 and 5 against the spread, 1 and 9 to the under. So this is against other opposition. TCU 6 and 4 last 10, 5 and 5 against the spread, 3 and 6 and 1 to the under. So in this game here, So Kansas has won. They've won 4 out of the last 5 games, and they've played under 9 straight unders for Kansas. Well, that under streak ended against Kansas State. They went over the total. I would still go. Let me see. It's Kansas, Texas Christian 3 and 6 to the under. They are 4 and 5 of their last. They're 1 and 4 to the under. They're similar to Kansas. And 3 and 2 the last 5 games. Yeah, the only way to look at this game, Kansas TCU. Let me take a look at this again. Yeah, Kansas TCU. Let's look here. I gotta look at the under 137 and under 135 and a half. I have to look at the under here. Let me take a look at some greater detail here. Let's look. I would look at. I would take Kansas minus 7. I would take Kansas minus 7 here as well. Um, I would lean to the under, but I like. I lean to the under. I like the under here. I take the under. I don't know if I'll get to the window, but I lean under the 135.5. Lean to the under in this game. All right, so next game we're looking at Xavier St. John's. Xavier 7.5. It opened up, total 148. Right now, it's still 7.5. It hasn't really moved. It's still at 7.5. The total here, 148.5. Actually, sorry, 147.5. We're seeing some 147s. 147, and then we saw 149 now. We're seeing some 149s. It just changed. So still at 7.5. It's gone up to 149. 148. So it's gone up by about half a point. Let's see here. We'll look at this one further. It's a 7 o'clock start. Xavier St. John's. Let's see. Xavier St. John's. I'd have to look at the under. Under 147.5. I have to look that way. We'll look at the we'll look at the history between these two teams, Xavier St. John's. Let's see. So St. John's number 20 in the country, Xavier number 22. They've already played already. January 7th. They played about 2 weeks ago at Xavier. And Xavier is a 1-point favorite. And the total is 152. St. John's won the game by 10, 82-72. That was insane. That was in Xavier. The last two meetings have gone over. Xavier right now, 5-5, 8-2 against the spread, 4-6 to the under. They've won 3 straight games. They won 3 straight. They covered 2 of those games. One game they covered on the road as a favorite, the other at home. Covered as a dog in Marquette. Last 5, 1-4 to the under. St. John's, 9-1, 5-4 against the spread, 4-5-1 to the under. St. John's has won 5 straight games. They've covered 2-1 as a favorite covering. They are last 5, 3-2 to the. I'm sorry. 2-3 to the under. I know the last 2 games have gone over, including the first meeting. But I'm gonna lean to the let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna lean to the under this game. The under, it's right now at 1. It's coming down to 147, and I agree with the move here. Especially the way these two teams have been playing the last 10 games. Both teams are playing to the under, and I understand why it's coming down. So it's a little bit different from the first meeting 2 weeks ago. I'm going to lean to the under here. I might even get to the window. Under the 147.5. Take into account the familiarity between these two teams. Familiarity. The type of the way that Xavier and St. John's have been playing lately, after their first meeting, early January. Everything correlates to the under 147.5. I might get there with the under in this one. Next game, Indiana at Northwestern. This one here is 5.5. Northwestern against Indiana. Total 141. The total rate we're looking at 6s across the board. -6 across the board. 5.5s are gone, mainly 6. Um, yeah, so mainly is a lot of 6s on the board. It came down to 5.5. Let's look at this one here. And I have a play on this game as well too. There's a play on this game that I like. I like it here a lot. Let's see. So Indiana number 14 going to Northwestern they're ranked number 14 at Northwestern. Indiana 7-3 last 10, 5-5 against the spread, 5-5 to the over/under. Their last 10 games, 3-2 last 10, and 3-2 to the under. Sorry, 3-2 to the over. Excuse me. Northwestern 8-2 last 10 against the spread, 5-5 last 10, 8-2 to the over. 1-4 against the spread, 1-4 last 5, and 5 straight overs. 5 and over the last 5 to the over, Northwestern. So the only way to look in this game, -6. I like Northwestern -6, and I like the over. I agree with the over in this game. Over 139. I know it's come down a bit, but it hasn't been. The total hasn't been really updated since this morning. So I like the over here. Over one. I like the over here a lot. Makes a lot of sense. Over 139.5. Northwestern -5.5. I like them here a lot. This is like a get right. This is like a get right spot for Northwestern. They haven't covered a home game as of yet. They covered DePaul. Not saying much about that, but they haven't had a real true road win. A home win. They have not had a true home win. Northwestern. And head-to-head, they've dominated. Northwestern has dominated Indiana. They have dominated Indiana. So I like him here, and that's another reason why I like the over. And I like Northwestern to cover. I like that a lot. So I wouldn't do a same game parlay for both. I'd play them separately. Which is what I'm going to do. So I like those ones. Next game here. We talked about Kansas TCU already. This has already been discussed. Florida at South Carolina. Florida open up -10. Total 143.5. Right now we're seeing 11.5s, 12 right now on the board. That's the total right now. Yeah, we're seeing 12s come up on the board. And the total is 147. That's the total right now in this game. 147. We're looking at. Let's see. It's 146, but like I said, 147s are coming up. This game here. Let's look at Florida at South Carolina. Florida, their last 10 games, 8-2. 8-2 against the spread, 4-6 to the under. So they're playing that. 3-2 last 5. And they are 2-3 to the under last 5 totals. South Carolina 5-5 last 10, 4-6 against the spread, 3-7 to the under. They've lost 5 games in a row, and they are at home. So they covered at home against Auburn, plus 16.5. So they've covered Vanderbilt on the road. Didn't cover Alabama. Alabama beat them up pretty good. But they've been playing a lot of defense unders in this game. Florida, same thing. The only way I have to lean to the. Let me look at this again. Let's look at this game one more time here. Yeah, I'd have to lean to the under. I agree with the market. I lean under 146 and a half. I have to agree with the market here with the market move. Under 146 and a half. Florida at South Carolina. No play on the side. I like the under because both teams are trending to the under. Style of plays to the under. Both teams as well are very familiar with each other. They played each other in the past. That's another reason I like the under in this game. Under 146 and a half. I like that a lot. Next game, Syracuse Clemson. Open up at 16, minus 16 Clemson. Total 141 and a half. Right now we're looking at, let's see here, it's got a good number. Right now it's 5.5 across the board. Across the board, 5.5. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm looking at the wrong game. Sorry about that. Syracuse Clemson. Right now it's 15.5. That's the current number now. Hasn't really any real movement on that game. 15.5 basically is the current number, and 140 the total. So this one here, we'll look at the history between these two teams, Syracuse, Clemson. Let's see. Syracuse, Clemson. Clemson on home, ranked number 25. Syracuse last 10, 5-5. Their last 10, 4-6 against the spread, 4-6 to the under. Syracuse 3-2 last 5, and 2-3 to the under. Clemson 7-3 last 10, 6-4 against the spread, 5-5 over under. Clemson's won 3 games in a row, 4-1 the last 5. Clemson has covered their last 2 games as a favorite, one at home, one on the road. Last 5 games, 1-4 to the under. Yeah, the only way I can look in this game will have to be the under. Under in this game for sure. I like the under. Let's see. Under Syracuse. Under 140.5. Yes, that's the only way I can look. Under 140.5. Again, both teams are playing to the under their last 10 games. And again, very familiar with each other's style of play. So therefore, I have to look at the under. Under 140.5. Trying to see if I see anything else. Yeah, 140.5 at the under. I like the under in this game. Let's see. Yeah, I like the under here. Under 140. Under 140.5. Definitely going to go with that one. Like that one a lot. Next game we're going to look at. Virginia Tech at Georgia Tech. 4.5 Georgia Tech favored. Total 142.5. Right now we're looking at 5.5 across the board. Virginia Tech 5.5 point underdogs in this game. That's what we're looking at right now. For the total, current total now is 142.5. Nothing much in this game. It's been really quiet. For this more in-depth look on this game, 7-3 last 10, Virginia Tech. 3-7 against 7-3 last 10 head-to-head. 3-7 against the spread. Georgia Tech 5-5 over/under. Virginia Tech against other opposition. 5-5 last 10. 6-4 against the spread. 6-4 to the over. Virginia Tech 3-2 against the record. 2-3 to the under. Georgia Tech. They've lost 4 straight games, 1-4. In that losing streak, they have gone 3-2 to the over. This game is a pass. I have no play on this game. This is going to be a complete pass. No game on the side or total. So that's a pass. This one, nothing here. Let's see. We'll look at Drake and Valparaiso. That's the next game we're going to look at. 13 is the opening line. Total 131.5. Right now we're looking at 14 across the board. And the total is... Let's look. 129.5 is the main consensus. So Drake, Valparaiso. Valparaiso last 10, 5-5, 5-3 against the spread, 5-3-1 against the spread, 6-3 to the over. Valparaiso. They've lost 3 in a row. 2 of those games have been on the road. Lost their last 2 games. Covered. There was a push against Belmont. Lost at home to UIC. 2-3 last 5. 3-2 to the over. Drake 8-2 last 10. 5-4 against the spread. 3-6 to the under. Drake's won 4 straight games. They've covered as a favorite 2 of those 4 wins. And 1-4 to the under. Let's see. This might be a look-ahead game. Drake's 14. They're 14 right now. The spread is 14. Let's take a look at this again. So there's nothing much on this game. It's 14. The only way I can look, this is a situational spot. The only way I can look in this game would have to be Valparaiso. I know Valparaiso has been pretty bad in covering the number. They covered their last game at Belmont, and they covered Bradley on the road. The only way I can look in this game, this is a situational spot. Drake has Missouri State next. They gotta play Missouri State. They lost to them a year ago, so this is basically a rematch from last year. They lost in overtime to these guys. Drake, 83-80. This is an overtime loss. Last January, a year ago today, they lost to these guys. So I'm gonna take, this is a situational spot, so I think this is a look ahead spot here for Drake, in my opinion. So let me just get back to this. Yeah, in this case here, I'm going to take Valparaiso to cover, plus 14. I'll take Valparaiso. Sandwich spot, they got to play Missouri State. It's a rematch. They lost them in overtime last year around this time. So that's been on their mind. So I'm going to look at Valparaiso plus 14, and I like the under. I like under in this game. Under the 129 as well. I think it stays under. But I like Valparaiso more to cover the 14. I'm going to take them to cover. Might get to the window with that. We'll see. But I might end up doing that. Next game we'll look at here. Boise State at Colorado State. This one here, we'll take a look at it here. It opened up at -1 Colorado State, total 139.5. Right now, we're looking at Boise State's the favorite, and it's gone to Pick'em. Pick'em, Boise State, Pick'em, Boise State. So this is up and down. Total, however, is at 140. 140. Basically 140, 140 and a half. So it hasn't really moved much. It's been all over the place. So this particular game here, let's see. Boise, 7-3 last 10 games, 6-4 against the spread, 6-4 to the over against other opposition. Colorado State against other opposition, 6-4 last 10, 5-5 against the spread, 5-4, 1 to the over. 4-1 last 5 games. They've covered as a favorite, 4 straight as a favorite. 2 of those wins they covered at San Jose State as a 3.5 point favorite, covered at Wyoming last time out, 4.5. They are 3-1-1 last 5 games to the over. So the only way I can look is to the over in this game, over 140 or 139.5. That's the only way I can look at the Boise State. Boise State, Colorado State game, over the total. Only way I can play this game. That's it. Over 139.5. And now it's 140.5. Yeah, I'll bet the over. Over 140.5 for me. That's how I look at that one. USC, Nebraska. Another good game here. -4.5. Nebraska opened up. Nebraska's at home, total 145.5. Right now we're looking at 7 across the board, and it's 143.5 is the consensus. Let's look at this one here. USC, Nebraska. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, so this is another good game here. Let's look at this one here. This is a 9 o'clock start. USC 6-4 last 10, 6-4 against the spread, 8-2 to the over.
Alert.
USC 2-3 last 5. They are 6-0 or 5-0 to the over. So they've been playing pretty well over the total. Even on the road, they're playing good. At Illinois, at Indiana, going to the over. Nebraska 6-4 last 10, 7-3 against the spread, 4-6 to the under. Nebraska's last 4 games in a row. But however, they are 3-2 to the over. Yeah, so the only way to look at this game for me, I don't trust Nebraska to cover this number. They haven't proven to me that they can cover it. I mean, they covered UCLA and Oregon State, but that's not really saying much. They didn't cover Rutgers, so I can't really trust them here for the over. However, I can't trust him on the spread. Excuse me. I trust him more on the over. It's over 143.5. So I like the over here. I take the over for Nebraska USC. I like that angle better. Plus USC's gone over 5 straight games. So USC's offense, even though they're the type of team, they don't play any defense. So it's a very open style of basketball. So it gives an opportunity for Nebraska to get some points, USC to get some points. So to me, their style of play dictates the pace of this. No, I'll say their style of play makes it easier for Nebraska to score, and USC can get some points in Nebraska as well. Even though Nebraska's last 4, they have gone 3-2 to the over, but I just find that they're vulnerable to at the same time. That's why they've lost 4 straight games, because their defense has some cracks in their armor as well too, or some holes in their defense. USC, like I said, USC 5 straight overs, so the over does make a lot of sense in both aspects. I like the over 143.5. Like that one a lot. Next game, Georgia at Arkansas. Arkansas 2.5 point favorites, total 141. Right now we're looking at this game's all the way down to Pick'em and 1, and the total here is 139. Let's look at this game further and see what's happening. Let's see. This is a 9 o'clock start. Georgia last 10, they are 7-3 last 10 games, 5-5 against the spread, 2-8 to the under. They've lost 2 straight games. They were 2-3 last 5 games, and they have gone under 5 straight games for Georgia under. So they're struggling offensively, to say the least. And now they're a dog against Arkansas. Arkansas are another struggling team as well. 5-5 against the spread, 2-8 to the under, 4-6 to the under. Arkansas's last 5 games in a row. They're 1-4 to the under. So obviously the only way to play this game, you got to play the under 139.5. This is the only way. This is the best way to play it. You got 2 struggling offensive teams in Arkansas and Georgia. So I don't trust either one of them to cover the spread. I don't trust Arkansas to cover the 1.5. I don't trust Georgia to cover the points either. And both teams are struggling offensively. The best way is to bet the under in this game. 2 struggling offenses. Bet the under, yeah. That's why it's low for a reason. Bet the under here. I might even get to the window with this one. 90% chance to get to the window with this game for sure. Under 139.5. Georgia, Arkansas. Next game here. One moment. We're going to look at the Baylor game. This is the game I actually played earlier. I played this one early. I like this one here a lot. Baylor and Kansas State Baylor. So we'll go through this game here. Baylor minus 12.5, total 141.5. Right now it is at 12.5. Right now it's 12.5. It was at 11.5. I got it at minus 12 yesterday, and now we're seeing 12.5s. The total is 140.5. That really moves much. Not much movement. It actually went down to 12. I took it at I took the 12.5. Or I took it at 12. Excuse me. That's where I got it. Let's look at this game here. This game here, Baylor. Baylor. So look into this some more. Baylor number 25 in the country against Kansas State. Kansas State last 10 games 2-8, last 10 5-5 against the spread, 5-5 over under. They have lost 5 games in a row, but they have covered their last 2 games. They covered at Kansas, but they were down big, and they came back and covered that spread. They covered at home against Texas Tech. So this is their second road game here. Baylor 6-4 last 10, 3-6 against the spread, 5-4 to the over. Baylor's lost 2 straight games. This is a get right spot for Baylor. They're on the road for 2 games at Utah and at BYU. They haven't had really much of a good impression at home. They beat Cincinnati earlier this month. Beat Utah. They won New Year's Eve with Utah coming to town. They got to go to Utah and play Utah in the rematch. I like Baylor in this spot because Kansas State, they had to exert their energy to come back 4 days ago against Kansas State. I mean, in Kansas against Kansas, their arch rival. That was the Battle of Missouri. So they're down big. They had to rally back. And then they fell short by 10 points. But they did cover the 15. But we're down big and massive early in that game. For me, I think because they exerted so much energy in that Kansas State against Kansas 4 days ago in Kansas, and it was a heated rivalry, Kansas and Kansas State. I don't think they have enough energy here to keep up against Baylor, in my opinion. So I think this is a get right spot for Baylor. They've lost 2 straight, but because of the situational spot for Kansas State playing Kansas, now they got to go out on the road again. Second game on the road, and play Baylor. And then so I like Baylor. I like Baylor here a lot to cover end the 2-game losing streak. I think they covered this game. They didn't cover TCU at 12 the last time. A couple days ago, it was 12.5. But I'm going to take them here. I think this is a get right spot. Like I said, I think Kansas State will run out of gas in this game. I think Baylor can take advantage and get a win here. As for the total, no real play on the total. Just Baylor here, -12. I like Baylor. I'm taking them there. Next game here, Florida at California. Florida -1, total 149.5. Right now the total is 1.5. We're seeing 150 in this matchup. So Florida at California. Let's look at this one here. Florida, California. Florida State's 6-4 last 10, 6-4 against the spread, 6-4 to the over. They've won 2 straight games, so they got to play a Pac-12 team, and they got to play. They got to play Stanford on Saturday. Let's see for them. 3-2 last 5. Last 5 total over under. 3-2 to the over. California 3-7 last 10, 5-5 against the spread, 5-5 to the over under. So California, they came off a 2-game Carolina road trip. They went 1-1. Again, I don't like to back teams that have I've been on the road, and I don't like backing teams, I should say, from their first game back off a road trip, first game back at home after a road trip. I like to fade those kind of teams. Doesn't matter what sport. Hockey, NBA, NFL, college basketball, it doesn't matter. I'll fade those teams. So I'm gonna take. Let me just look here carefully. Here I like. Let's look at this one here. Just bear with me for a moment. Yeah, so I like the over 150.5, and I like Florida State on the money line. That's my play for that. Florida State money line. I like the over 150 for that game. Miami Stanford. Miami Florida at Stanford. 10.5 Stanford. Total 154.5. Right now we're looking at 11s across the board, and the total here is 150 is the consensus. This game here, Stanford at Miami, Florida. Let's look at this one carefully. It's probably be the last game we'll be looking at for these games. Let's look at this one here. Miami, Florida, last 10, 1-9, 1-9 against a spread, 5-4 to the over. They have lost, oh boy, 8 games in a row. Whew. They're on a 2-game California or West Coast road trip. But I've gone 5-4-1 to the over, so their defense is pretty bad. Stanford 6-4, 5-5 against the spread, 6-4 to the over. They've come off a road trip, and they're back at home off a 2-game road trip. My look here is I'm going to lean towards Stanford. Stanford minus 11. No play on this game. I just lean to the Stanford to cover the points. I lean to Stanford to cover the points. Minus 11. No play on this game. All right, so those are all the plays for college basketball. That's all the plays I have. That's it for today. Again, go over what we talked about today. I will be back in an hour and a half to give you the rest of my picks for tonight's games. Again, for the games I like tonight, just to go over, I like Furman minus 9. I like that a lot. Remember, if you cannot get it at minus 9, wait till the game starts. Get it live and bet at minus 9 or 8.5 Furman. Next game, I like the under 133.5. Utah at Houston. We discussed that already. So those are my 2 early plays. Next video, I'll have a video for all plays. Best bets for college basketball for the later games. Best bets for the NBA for tonight's games. And the NHL hockey. So until then, stay true to yourself. Stay blessed. Stay humble. Believe in yourself. Peace. See you later.